Be there for this must-watch 2024 in review.
At 5 p.m. on 31st December, exclusively on UBC TV,
Inspiring Uganda. A very good evening and a warm welcome to UBC's Year in Review for the year 2024 on this day, the 31st day of December, a Tuesday on UBC television. I'm Lorraine Masika Kazimoto.
And I'm Wadulo Arnold Mark, and without further ado, let's take a look at the stories that made news this year.
The hosting of the 19th NAM Summit in Uganda led to a remarkable surge in international travel.
Brought to you by
Greenergy Ethanol Stoves and Fuel. Enjoy cleaner, healthier and affordable cooking. Cook your food in less than 2,000 shillings per day. No charcoal. Stop deforestation. We are looking for agents across Uganda. Greenergy, Bible Corner.
A 2024 Year in Review bulletin will be unfolding the Chitenzi landfill tragedy that claimed 35 lives and saw indefinite change of guards at KCCA.
The politics of divide and rule in 2024 that left major opposition political parties torn apart.
And the controversial National Coffee Amendment Bill 2024 that attracted tribal sentiments.
And in sports, a roundup in 2024, a glance at Joshua Cheptegei, Nambole, She Cranes and the Cranes dominate space.
Once again, thank you for joining us. It's now time for the bulletin in detail. The year 2024 marked a significant milestone for Uganda as it hosted the 19th Summit of the Non-Aligned Movement, and that is known as NAM. And also the third South Summit plus China from January 15th to 22nd at the Commonwealth Resort in Munyonyo, Kampala, being the largest international summit hosted by the country since the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting CHOGM in 2007. Now in this report, I share insights on the significance of Uganda's hosting. Let's take a look.
The hosting of the 19th NAM Summit in Uganda led to a remarkable surge in international travel, with Entebbe International Airport receiving a record number of travelers. In January 2024 alone, the airport facilitated the arrival of approximately 99,216 international passengers, contributing a total of 196,211 passengers for the month. This influx was significantly attributed to the NAM and the subsequent G77 plus China summit, which collectively brought in nearly 1,918 delegates.
We get busy, but NAM, it is too much.
It is too much. So NAM has even superseded the festive season.
Yeah, NAM, it's too much. Ever since January started, they have been working on NAM's summit. Up to now, it has been a busy concert at airport.
The airport's performance during this period not only showcased its logistical capabilities, but also highlighted Uganda's growing status as a hub for international diplomacy and business.
All the facilities were in place to put Uganda on the map in the international system, where we are now highly respected, and what remains is for us now to see how to run the dynamics of being the chair of both the NAM and the G77.
In total, 117 out of 120 expected delegates attended the summit at the Commonwealth Resort at Munyonyo, comprising 28 presidents, 5 vice presidents, 7 prime ministers, and 45 foreign ministers.
For you to be on CNN, you're on BBC, you're on Al Jazeera, you're on NBC, all international televisions are focused on Uganda. That is very, very important to us as a country. Secondly, we've interacted with delegates, and when you talk to them, they say, I must come back to Uganda. So we can see in the short run, we can see numbers of tourists increasing significantly.
Uganda's assumption of the non-aligned movement chairmanship for a 3-year term until 2027 is a holistic achievement that enhances its diplomatic profile. President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni emphasized that this leadership role provides Uganda with a unique opportunity to influence global policies that favor developing nations.
But internationally, since we are members of the same group of countries with similar interests, we should promote trade among ourselves. Because when I buy from you, I'm supporting your prosperity. And when you buy from me, you are supporting my prosperity. And we shall, I don't know how the Secretariat is organized of NAM and on the G77 to bring ideas of how we can promote and expand interstate trade among the NAM countries.
The summit's theme, Deepening Cooperation for a Shared Global Affluence, reflects a commitment to collaborative solutions, addressing issues such as climate change, economic inequalities, and global security.
And we must do all we can to prevent spillover of this conflict across the region, in the West Bank, across the blue line between Israel and Lebanon, and in Syria, Iraq, and the Red Sea. Excellencies, the refusal to accept the two-state solution for Israelis and Palestinians, and the denial of the right to statehood for the Palestinian people are unacceptable. These would indefinitely prolong a conflict that has become a major threat to global peace and security, exacerbate polarization, and embolden extremists everywhere.
President Museveni called for unity among member states to tackle common challenges. He articulated key points regarding the importance of multilateralism and sustainable development goals, urging member countries to prioritize collective action in international negotiations.
What we are aiming at is affluence for the whole world. We may not achieve it in a short time, but we should have it on the radar screen as our aim. In order to do that, we go back to our principles of NAM. And those principles, the Bandung principles, really start with humility.
Over its history, NAM has been instrumental in advocating for interests of developing countries. However, it faces ongoing challenges from rising unilateralism and geopolitical tensions that threaten its objectives.
There is a need to reform the international financial architecture. There is a need to reform the organizations that today are leading the financial international architecture. There is a need to provide debt relief. There is a need to provide cooperation to the countries of the South.
Despite these hurdles, the non-aligned movement continues to serve as a vital forum for dialogue among diverse nations. Following the NAM summit, Uganda also hosted the G77 plus China summit from January 21st to 23rd. This gathering further solidified Uganda's role as a leader among developing nations.
Yes, now in 2024, President Yoweri Museveni officially assumed the office of the chairman of the non-aligned movement and NAM for a term of 3 years. Now, during his acceptance speech, President Museveni reiterated his long-held position that the world must prioritize solving common human challenges through cooperation. He emphasized the importance of trade, scientific advancement, and technological innovations as tools to address global issues such as environmental degradation, crime, and terrorism. The president also highlighted the crucial need for respect for fundamental human rights while emphasizing the sovereignty and territorial integrity of all nations. Here's what transpired.
President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni has officially assumed office of the chairman of the non-aligned movement for the next 3 years. He received leadership from the President of the Republic of Azerbaijan, the former chairman of the non-aligned movement, who was represented by the Azerbaijan Foreign Minister. The former chairman of the non-aligned movement called for unity to address resistance and growing challenges.
During its chairmanship, Azerbaijan took practical steps to uphold the interests of the member states at the international arena, guided by the principle of cementing their solidarity and extending mutual support. Azerbaijan built its priorities and activities upon historical Bandung principles and has approved a comprehensive action plan regarding its chairmanship in the non-aligned movement.
Since its admission to the NAM in 2011, Azerbaijan has played a crucial role in international relations, strengthening unity within the movement by defending the principles of international law.
Admission of the South Sudan will be the first expansion of NAM membership in 13 years, bringing the number of member states to 121. This proves a growing validity and increased importance of our movement in the international relations system. Azerbaijani chairmanship has made consistent efforts to promote the practice of demonstrating support to nominations of NAM member states to various positions in the international organizations.
The Azerbaijan leadership expressed confidence in the upcoming leadership of President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni to steer the agenda of the movement.
We are handing over the chairmanship to the Republic of Uganda with a rich, substantial and institutional legacy. We are confident that Uganda will spare no effort towards further enhancing the role and visibility of the movement and strengthening unity among its member states.
President Museveni labeled NAM as a necessary antidote to the irrational polarization of the world between capitalistic Western countries and communist, mainly Eastern countries.
We were the third generation of the African anti-colonial freedom fighters. The first generation had been the African-American Pan-Africanists such as Marcus Garvey, George Padmore, W.B. Du Bois, that had been joined by those who founded the African National Congress of South Africa in 1912.
He emphasized that the direct colonization of Africa was orchestrated by evil imperialistic forces through forms of slave trade, worsened by chiefs and kings who out of selfishness could not unite and fight the oppressors.
The second generation of the African freedom fighters were people like Mzee Jomo Kenyatta of Kenya, Mwalimu Nyerere of Tanzania, Nelson Mandela of South Africa, etc., who emerged in the 1940s.
The president emphasized opting for political economics to discover the fundamental laws that govern the motion of society from one social system to another. This step discovered that man, who emerged in Africa, had been the main actor and coped with oppression by nature, including floods, droughts, diseases, wild animals, and earthquakes.
Another form of oppression of man emerged. This was the operation of man by fellow men. So man had two problems now. Operation of man by nature, operation of man by fellow men.
Museveni stated that societies advancing in science and technology lay a basis for positive social change and should be encouraged by the progressive forces of the world.
This encouragement should be irrespective of the social systems of the concerned societies.
He stressed that the world should concentrate on common human problems, achieving prosperity through trade, free from stereotypes that misrepresent the nature and ability of Africa.
Here we are dying from food. We have so much food here. Africa has got everything. Here we have everything. What we need from other people are markets and investments. But we shall not only sell to you, we shall also buy from you. We are not like others who want only to sell to others but not to buy from them.
He called for respect for fundamental human rights, sovereignty and territorial integrity of all nations, recognition of equality of all races and nations, large and small, and abstention from intervention and interference in the internal affairs of another country.
Respect for the right of each nation to defend itself singly or collectively in conformity with the Charter of the United Nations. Abstention from the use of arrangements of collective defense to serve the particular interests of any of the big powers. Abstention by any country from exerting pressure on other countries. 7, refraining from acts of threats, of aggression, or use of force against the territorial integrity or political independence of any country. Settlement of all international disputes by peaceful means, such as negotiation, conciliation, arbitration, or judicial settlement, as well as other peaceful means of the parties' own choice in conformity with the Charter of the United Nations. Promotion of mutual interests and cooperation, and respect for justice and international obligation. It is on these principles that
the presence of people from around the world, especially members of the non-aligned movement, enables core interactions to address common human problems. Ivan Kahwa, UBC News.
Now away from Nam, in August 2024, catastrophe befell the people of Chitezi and Lusanja after a heavy mass of garbage gave way, rolling over a village, killing at least 35 people. Now in this report, we bring to you the highlights on how the events unfolded, also leading to an indefinite dismissal of the top 3 KCCA directors, among others Dorothy Kisaka, David Luyimbazi and Daniel Okello, as Justin Nakami reports.
Whenever sekiro nagambye oba abaana bange nfune wenzira nfune obutwa mbafumbira akamere tulye tuzikire rumu.
Tragedy befell residents of Chitezi, Lusanja and Chitetika villages when a 20-year-old pile of garbage gave way on the 12th of August 2024. It was a Saturday morning. All this was decomposing garbage which exploded and buried houses, left at least 30 people dead and destroyed property. Between Chitetika and Lusanja is where the broken garbage debris rested, clearly indicating the magnitude of the incident. Because the buffer zone of the landfill had been encroached on, the only space that had been left for garbage debris to rest was in people's houses.
Nemugamba waffe tomanyi byagwawo nangamba katugenda kubeera wa mwana muto wa myaka 3 kali nze mutwale wa.
Without delays, government swung into action and deployed human resource and machinery to rescue and exhume those who had been killed by the garbage mass. The area turned into an agony site, with several people camped at the site waiting to see their relatives, while to others it became an attraction to history of the agony.
The family was there. I hear 2 people. 2 children were rescued, and the woman died, and the worker, they also died.
Mama abadde awonye ate naddayo mu nnyumba okunona abazzukulu n'abaana be takomyewo. Abazzukulu 3 n'abaana be 4.
The area surrounding the remaining garbage stack turned into a water pond, with the remains of some property and houses floating in the pond. Together with partners, the government set up a temporary emergency shelter at Chitezi Primary School playgrounds to house all those that were left homeless. Over 200 people were cleared and housed at the emergency shelter for about 3 months.
We are a humanitarian agency and we have to support, but then so we are also challenged. So we want people to come and join hands with us, support us, give anything that you can give towards the assistance of these people. People are homeless, people have nothing left on them, and they need to start life afresh.
Amidst the tragedy, President Museveni instructed the Inspector General of Government to investigate the actual cause of the catastrophe.
We certainly cannot alleviate the pain of those that have lost their loved ones by just talking, but we surely can create an environment where this never happens again. And that exactly is what we had to do, to investigate and find those who are culpable and hold them accountable in accordance with the law. And I am also to affirm that the President is concerned and has also directed us to ensure that we get the officers or officer who didn't do their work.
Upon conclusion of the investigations, the IGG report cited negligence by the Kampala Capital City Authority leadership as the cause of the incident. The report informed the dismissal of the top 3 directors of KCC, including Dorothy Chisaka, the Executive Director, Engineer David Limbazi, the Deputy Executive Director, and Dr. Daniel Okedo, the Director for Public Health and Environment.
According to the report of the IGG was not satisfied with the happening in KCCA. According to people died in Chitezi, around 35 people died, and there were several warnings that anything can happen anytime, so they do not react in time.
These were later arrested and are facing charges preferred against them, manslaughter inclusive. Frank Rusanyakana, Robert Nowere, and Dr. Sarah Zarango, these 3 under the directive, were on 26 September 2024 appointed to steer the authority in the interim. They were appointed to positions of Interim Executive Director, Deputy, and Director Public Health and Environment for Kampala Capital City Authority, respectively.
That I was the first person to speak after the Executive Director.
The announcement was made to the staff of KCC in a meeting convened by the Minister for Kampala, Hajat Minsa Kabanda.
The world is watching all of us to see whether we can cope up with changes and ensure continuity at work and service at KCCA.
State Minister for Kampala, Kabuye Chofatogabye, noted the key issues of focus by the interim executive, among which included realignment of the human resource.
Can we make a city a livable one? I know these days, some of you've even created some bit of offices for exotic money. You are the go-betweens. Some of you even you've become our self-appointed Simanyi PAs and so assistants, collecting funds to block and lobby for positions. Forget.
The acting director, Frank Rusanyakana, in his maiden speech noted the tasks ahead of him, like restoration of public trust towards the authority, ensuring public accountability and steering teamwork.
This institution, in the 1.5 years I've been here, I've seen it has suffered a serious shortage of trust. I will be a leader who encourages trust. Because when you have trust, then you can engage in constructive conflict. Conflict can be constructive, but it is conflict with trust. Team members will be able to engage in unfiltered, constructive conflict based on ideas.
He also pledged to embark on the unresolved issues that put KCC on the spotlight, like garbage, delayed Chitezi decommissioning, non-payment of staff, and bringing the city to order.
We know that Chitezi is highest on our agenda. Finding the land, the emergency response, dealing with the aftermath, the compensations, etc., etc. But I also know that some of you are uncomfortable about the human resource manual. You're not sleeping because you've heard things about that manual. I want to tell you that we are hearing you and we're going to pay attention to it.
The 3 directors were selected from within the authority to oversee the authority in the acting positions for a period of 3 months. These finally handed over office on 23rd of December after the 100 days in office had been completed, as per the directive of the President and the Public Service Commission guidelines.
Thank His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, and my line ministers for the continued support and confidence they have accorded to us to lead this city, at least the technical wing of this city in this period. We shall continue leading this city until substantive appointments are made, and we hope that you'll continue extending the same support even in the new year.
After 100 days in office, President Yoweri Museveni appointed Hajat Shifra Buzechi to the position of the Executive Director, KCCA, and Benon Chigenyi as her deputy. However, their names were forwarded to the Head of Public Service for formalization. Established in 1996, Chitezi was due for decommissioning in 2015, following several reports that indicated the landfill had reached its garbage holding capacity and posed risk to the surrounding community. KCCA procured land in Dundu, where a modern landfill with the capacity to recycle garbage on a daily basis was supposed to be established.
Decommissioning of Chitezi, they said it requires 26 billion. 26 billion, they are saying there are some Koreans who would make methane power from that garbage after decommissioning it. So it required 26 billion. Now it has been revised upwards. Recently, the DED was talking about 50 to 60 billion.
Because of shortage of funds, KCCA continued dumping garbage at Chitezi landfill. In 2020, NEMA stopped licensing of the landfill after it surpassed its garbage holding capacity.
This has been, according to KCCA, a challenge of resources. They have issued a statement on this matter, confirming that they knew, as well as we all know, that Chitezi had reached its capacity, but because of lack of alternative, there was nowhere else to take waste, and that's why we got to the catastrophe.
Had the landfill been decommissioned as by 2020, the catastrophe should have been avoided. Justine Nakami, UBC News.
Well, that was the tragedy that happened in Chitezi over August, spanning towards the end of this year. Until this very day, we have unresolved issues. Well, I think, Lorraine, what are some of your thoughts on Chitezi?
Of course, for this, I was actually encouraged. I felt better when they dismissed the management of KCCA, because these are the people who should have overseen some of these and avoided some of these catastrophes from happening. And also, I hope that the new management that they have put in place will do a much better job. They have big shoes to fill right now, because everyone is now looking up to them. Are they going to do a better job than the previous management? And definitely hope that they do a much better job than that.
Well, on my side, I think it's the relocation and total compensation of the people who were affected by this tragedy. This is an issue that is going to probably dive into the next financial year.
Oh, absolutely.
This was something that we probably didn't plan for. I don't know if the disaster ministry, I saw Honorable Aber there, trying to do the compensation. I saw the president's pledge of 5 million for those that lost
a loved one.
But this wasn't enough, okay, and not everybody was covered.
Absolutely.
So we're really looking forward to see what happens, and we do wish the Chitezi people a lot of heartwarming consolation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. Over to you, Lorraine.
All right, so in more news this evening, division and self-interests remain the top characteristics holding back the agenda of nation building since 1960s. Now, opinion leaders in the political space argue that the vice, if not worked upon, will continue to water down the implementation of the good policies of development. The divergent views falls on the heels of a forthcoming heated political season come 2026 general elections, establishing a thin line between good governance and politics. Now, in this exclusive, Daniel Mugoya speaks to different technocrats in the political space to make sense of the possibilities to address the challenges of division and selfish interests that engulfed major opposition parties that crippled major politics and democracy.
So as long as The famous historian and lecturer at Makerere University College of Humanities and Social Sciences, Professor Mwambusia Ndebesa, says the current state of affairs in the politics of Uganda dates back from the historical and structural challenges since the 1960s.
We don't have principled politics. We have principled, we have politics of survival, politics of political position, politics of ndirawa.
Professor Ndebesa reveals how the country battles with the absence of the characteristics of nation building, including national identity and national cohesion, which has fueled division, especially in the society.
People shifting every other day, you know, people hopping from political party to political party, hopping from this political support to the other support. Politics of citizens being bribed during elections by a mere half a kilogram of salt.
Ndebesa further identifies the cause to this continuous nightmare.
For example, we need to fight over civic principle ideas and principles such as equality. Are we fighting over equality of different societies in Uganda? Are we fighting over certain regions having poverty levels of 60% and above, and others are in 10% and below? Are we fighting over equal participation in politics or equal access to the public space, freedom of assembly and association? Or are we fighting over who has eaten more than the other?
Understanding the core principles of democracy in Uganda is inevitable if the conversation of national politics is to receive space. This is timely as more key leaders on the political arena have amplified the voices calling for a national dialogue. The agenda of the dialogue is the question at play, with main opposition parties remaining divided.
Now when you don't have equal participation and the political space is not equal, that is recipe for political conflicts which can later translate into political violence. So we have to practice democracy, but also attitudes. Have the attitudes we hold changed? Are they in consonant with democratic practices?
What informs competition and participation in the political space is outside the principles of democracy and nation building, but rather hatred, individual interests and division.
The internal fight in FDC was not about FDC. It was about self-interest. You don't fight your personal interest in a framework of an organization that is supposed to coalesce our interests.
This has seemingly left accountability and transparency to whom it may concern. The environment to favor active and equal participation remains toxic, affecting the democratic practices in the country.
That toxic environment has got to be dealt with through dialogue. So the solution is a national dialogue for everybody who is in power to realize that they will not be victimized even when they are out of power.
The Democratic Party President Norbert Mao 2 years ago moved to secure a working agreement with the ruling party, specifying efforts to cause for a national transition. Mao's agreement ends in 2026 with possibilities of renewing the cooperation with the NRM.
An election is not going to bring change. Change is going to be negotiated. And to negotiate, you need a seat at the table. And to get a seat at the table, you must have an agenda. Because talks are not about beauty. It is about your capacity.
While many independent analysts perceive Mao's strategy as a drop of ink in an ocean, Nyendo Mukungwe Masaka MP Mathias Mpuuga, after disagreeing with the National Unity Platform Party, formed a political stage dubbed Democratic Alliance to influence, among others, transition agenda. Mathias Mpuuga asserts how the existing opposition parties have since played the wrong card in the fight for the democratic space.
First of all, we want to understand fully and mark this.
Our engagement with the ruling party, we want them to clearly inform the country how they view the transition.
So, we warn against the formation of myopic special purpose vehicles. Just like the vested interest in Mengo formed a special purpose vehicle and called it a political party, Kabaka Yeka.
Because of the historical challenges, the question and interest of dialogue as fronted by Mpuga and Mao remain food for thought.
Because you cannot talk of alliance. When you form because you are fighting, no, you are angry with no. So ally with who? With NRM? Why don't you just join NRM?
When I heard him very well, yeah. He quoted that his alliance will be strictly with those active political parties. So literally meaning that most of the parties
but is he active? Outside that meeting, has that alliance been anywhere?
The former leader of opposition in parliament, Ogengala Tigo, calls for what he described as democracy of consensus, urging that a government of national unity can be given a second thought.
And we've reached where we don't even need a democracy of political contestation. Because the road ahead is too rough. So what we need is a democracy of consensus. Disregard the parties that exist and sit down as a family and say, what is the situation and how do we move from here? Because that is the only thing that will allow a fresh opportunity for democracy to exist and work in the country. It also will be the only opportunity to bring down the deep discontent, anger, and even hatred.
Latigo gives experiences where he has engaged President Yoweri Museveni on issues of national development, irrespective of his political side.
It is not about me, it is about this country. And if this is what needs to be done for the country, I will do it.
But what is the NRM take on national dialogue?
The question is, why do we go into politics? We go into politics to make a contribution to make Uganda better. If you can make a contribution by joining hands with another political party, there should be no problem.
We can compare our visions. The vision of the NRM is very well stated. What is the vision of the others?
The fate of the national dialogue, as claimed by some actors, remains a position to determine whether the elections are still considered a critical means of achieving agreeable and representative leadership as prescribed by the laws of the land. Daniel Mugoya, UBC News.
Well, thank you very much, Daniel Mugoya, for a holistic piece right there, giving us a whole context of what our politics is looking like. Well, as the year 2024 winds up, the Nyendo Mukungwe Masaka City Member of Parliament, Matthias Mpuga, launched a new political formation dubbed the Democratic Alliance, Unity and Good Governance. Now, Mpuga's move is an avenue to book space on the political arena come 2026 general elections, after parting ways with the National Unity Platform Party over allegations of corruption and abuse of office. The Democratic Alliance formation is not far different from the history of any political party formation in Uganda. Now, in this episode, again, Daniel Mugoya tracks the incidences which led to the formation of the Democratic Alliance and its agenda. Let's have a look.
Honorable Mpuga, thank you.
At the end of 2023, the National Unity Platform Party President Robert Kyagulanyi made changes in the opposition leadership of the August House on account that NUP has numbers over other opposition political parties represented in the 11th Parliament. Matthias Mpuga, whose term of office as the leader of opposition had expired, was replaced by Nakawa West MP Joel Senyonyi. Mpuga was then offered the position of a backbench commissioner, where the opposition is a beneficiary of one slot.
And all of us, wherever we are and stand, must respect the choices people make. And when they make choices, those choices must be for the service of common good.
Parliament leadership welcomed Joel Senyonyi as the new LOP.
Senyonyi Joel, I want to congratulate you upon ascending to this position. It's a very high position, very, very high position.
As events unfolded, some members of the public, through the social media, launched a campaign dubbed the Parliamentary Exhibition. This silently unpacked a series of activities deemed dubious in the public space, including what came to be known as service awards. The results exposed how 1.7 billion shillings was shared among the parliamentary commissioners. The suspects included MPs Esther Foyeshan, Solomon Sirwanyi, Prosa Kampurira Mbabazi, and Matthias Mpuga. The leadership of Parliament defended the service awards.
It was the outgoing parliamentary commissioners. If you go to boards of organizations, that happens, outgoing boards. So what bribe is that?
We are taking oversight role on other institutions and arms of government. But when it comes to us, we want to hide it under carpet.
Sit, I give you an answer. Sit and I give you an answer. Honorable members, I will never, and I'm saying, never give you an answer on hearsay.
This fueled a cold war in the National Unity Platform Party.
On my name, they have had lunch. Others have had bottles of waraji. Others have gotten wealth in slandering me. And I never rush anything.
The debate over the controversial service awards took some time in the various media, including social and mainstream. A section of the population went ahead to organize a protest named March to Parliament, which was foiled by security on the D-Day.
We are tired of corruption and it has to resign.
Why don't you allow us to debate the matter of corruption in this parliament, here in this floor?
The Speaker of Parliament, Anita Among, put the blame on the opponents who were against the Anti-Homosexuality Act enacted by the 11th Parliament.
And I want to tell you, we are still there. By the grace of God, those who think they are going to continue fighting us will be put to shame. And I am not going to come down on the issues of homosexuality. The issue of fighting me on social media. I know you say I need to resign and go where?
The people who signed as managers of the radio station of the Speaker are staff members in her office here. How does that make sense? And when we ask questions, you're saying, it is homosexuals fighting me. Give us a break. Respond to these issues. That's what we are saying. That's what the people of Uganda are demanding for.
The controversial service awards later attracted a censure process of the 4 backbench commissioners sponsored by NRM's Rwemiyaga County MP, Theodore Sechikubo, and Tororo woman MP Sarah Opendi. Sechikubo and group, through thick and thin, collected the required signatures only to be let down by time and other unfolding events.
Each one of us has been accused of corruption here. Each one of us. I know even some members who are raising the highest voices, they have been accused of corruption.
A High Court ruling by Judge Douglas Singiza on behalf of a private individual, Daniel Wete, legalized the controversial 1.7 billion, distancing itself from altering the decisions of Parliament. The ruling seemingly caught the movers of the service award by surprise, suspecting an invisible hand behind Daniel Wete. This was after the ruling pinned the clerk to Parliament for sleeping on job.
Because this is a matter that was before the ambit of Parliament. And we are surprised that the commissioners chose to take themselves to court as a way of failing us here.
It's a confirmation
that the entire process was tainted with illegality, it was irrational, and due process was not followed. The only conclusion that a court which was properly directing its mind to the law and the facts before it would be to nullify and agree with the petitions. Sadly, court fell shy, for whatever reason, court fell shy from issuing that order. But giving that arbitral decision and court saying that the PSST must take action on the clerk of parliament actually confirms that court behind the curtain agrees that there was a problem.
The storm silently calmed, but at this point, MP Mpuuga and NOP party working relationship worsened as NOP recalled MP Mpuuga from the position of the backbench commissioner. Mpuuga, joined by a section of former DP bloc members, including Lubega Mukaku and Abed Bwanika, scratched heads to initiate a new direction in their political journey. This started by an organized Thanksgiving ceremony held in Masaka City. Before the cows returned, Mathias Mpuuga and team launched a political formation dubbed Democratic Alliance as a platform to promote peace and good governance. This, according to the promoters, will correct the mistakes of the opposition leaders in promoting democracy.
The opposition variously has been licking swoons for the missed opportunity because nobody is stepping up to summon, to reach out, to roll out a carpet for all and sundry in the opposition. We are stepping forward.
Mpuuga is optimistic that the platform will also have members participating in all elective positions, including the top leadership. This literally sparks a debate of forming a political party.
We did not launch a political party, but we launched a civic platform.
The former leader of opposition, also a parliamentary commissioner, Mathias Mpuuga, aims at creating a round table through which political players find space for negotiations and dialogue, notwithstanding the NRM party.
First of all, we want to understand fully and mark this. Our engagement with the ruling party, we want them to clearly inform the country how they view the transition.
It is no doubt that the political direction taken by MP Mpuuga and group is a reflection of the past experiences where most political parties are formed after disagreements and division among respective leaders.
I don't like you, therefore form a party. And what is the party for? If you look at their manifestos and what, they are virtually the same. What they are looking for is we must get in power and get rid of these people.
Mpuuga's move is the latest after the Forum for Democratic Change Party leaders disagreed over allegations of dirty money which hit the National Nkumbi headquarters. The disgruntled team led by Kizza Besigye set camp at Katonga Road and also initiated a process to register a new political party named People's Front for Freedom. The move is still in the hands of the Electoral Commission. If all goes well, the PFF will join a number of political parties which arise after disagreements and division among leaders.
Remember, to lead Uganda, you need 50% plus one vote. So, if you are sensible, you'll now be crafting an agenda to engage President Museveni collectively.
And what has been the message from the other parties? It is Museveni again, Museveni must go, NRM must go. That cannot be an ideology. What if he goes? Yes, time will come, he will go. So will you round up your party and also go because he has gone?
Daniel Mugoya, UBC News.
Well, you are still watching the 2024 Year in Review here on UBC Television. Now, this year ending, President Yoweri Museveni assented the National Coffee Amendment Bill 2024, dissolving the existence since 1991 of Uganda Coffee Development Authority, UCDA, amidst contestation critiquing the dissolution that it was in bad taste for the stakeholder in the coffee sector. Absorbing the functions of the former UCDA into the Mother Agriculture Ministry was a process compared to walking through the fire after the move turned controversial, attracting tribal sentiment. The new legislation is in line with the government policy of rationalization of government agencies and public expenditure to cut wasteful expenditure. Now, our Parliament team recounts the developments of how the new law was processed in Parliament and reports.
Cabinet in 2021 adopted a policy to streamline public spending by cutting wasteful expenditure. But most agencies, which were formed by an act of Parliament, attracted fresh legislation to process. The campaign was scheduled to happen in phases, and by close of 2024, over 15 bills of rationalization were passed by Parliament.
At this point in time, we have taken a policy decision under Article 111.
Agencies including Uganda National Roads Authority, Uganda Road Fund, National Information and Technology Authority, National Forestry Authority, and Uganda Coffee Development Authority, among others, were affected by the process.
Spending up to 755 billion Uganda shillings for the staff or civil servants who are in the ministries, whereas the agencies were paying 955 billion shillings. So we're spending more in terms of salary to the employees in agencies compared to those who are in the ministries and districts, local governments.
The policy of rationalization, however, faced huge criticism, with many opponents projecting that the objectives would hit a dead end, citing that corruption tops the menu of wasted resources.
There are several other entities that are still in place that we think should also be rationalized. Now that you're saying your concern is to save taxpayers' money, so we are going to push that front. There are many other entities that have been created which don't even require a bill in Parliament because they are not creatures of statute.
It took countless times for President Yoweri Museveni and other stakeholders to hold several meetings to weigh in on the benefits of rationalization. Not all what glitters is indeed gold. A section of the public wanted the Uganda National Coffee Development Authority to remain.
There has been a number of unsettling attempts by government concerning coffee. They started with the Coffee Bill of 2020, which had bad clauses like one stipulating imprisoning a farmer who abandons his or her farm. Then there was a plan to give a woman who knows nothing about coffee, she's called Penetti, monopoly over the coffee we have grown with our hands. And they were giving her power to determine the price to offer to farmers and the quantity that she desired. Coffee belongs to the farmers, so government should respect their wishes regarding this matter.
I'm a coffee farmer myself. I was educated on this crop. I know how critical, how sensitive the value chain, how sensitive the market is on quality, how sensitive the market is on all matters of quality and standards that you cannot achieve through a red tape system in a ministry.
Government fronted a concern that the functions of the UCDA can be shifted to the Mother Ministry and dissolve the National Coffee Act. At first, Parliament had agreed to unanimously retain, but the President declined to sign the bill.
Honorable members.
One by name.
Honorable members, listen.
While commuting to a neutral ground, there was an arrangement that UCDA is rationalized after 3 years to enable the Ministry of Agriculture build capacity to oversee the coffee sector. But the anger kept growing from the opponents of the UCDA merger, who stated that the move would compromise and affect the delivery and technical regulatory functions which the UCDA has been undertaking.
In our culture, if you've lost your dear one and for you you've come as to just say sympathy for the family, you shouldn't cry more than the bereaved family. As they are heightening their voice, for you, you lower a little bit. But if yours comes up so much, they get to know that this one is the one who has killed him or her.
The National Coffee Amendment Bill 2024 turned out to be the most chaotic process of legislation in the 11th Parliament, after it called for the patience of the presiding officers to calm the dust.
If you feel you cannot be quiet when somebody is speaking, if you're not tolerant enough, the doors are open.
The bill provoked tribal sentiments and accusations of conflict of interest by the presiding officer. Such controversial debates have over time threatened the independency of the August House. It was inevitable to to avoid fist fights during the processing of the National Coffee Amendment Bill 2024, as both the proposers and opposers had their temper high.
I know the rules. Why do you send me there?
In the process, Bichana Municipality MP Francis Zake was injured after a humiliating fight with Clark North County MP Anthony Akol. At last, the bill was passed while some members of the opposition boycotted the session.
When you now hand over this to the ministry, it will become a lot more problematic. Government will have a direct grip and they will do whatever it is that they want. Nothing will stop them to hand it over to Pineti as they had wanted.
What we want to achieve is to share our real experiences vis-a-vis what the government policy is. When you are choosing between your experience and what you are being told, I'm sure you choose your experience.
The new legislation empowers the Minister for Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries to be politically responsible for the prices of coffee in the market, consult with other stakeholders and develop a strategy for promoting and cultivation of recommended types and varieties of coffee in Uganda.
We shall ensure that our laboratories continue to be fully accredited. With your support, we shall ensure that our research institutes continue to produce the best varieties, and our coffee profile as a country will continue to go up.
The approved structure is that there will be a commissioner for coffee development. And this commissioner will have all his assistants and support staff to regulate the coffee industry.
The presidential assent to the National Coffee Amendment Bill 2024 into law remained one of the captivating events that made headlines this year ending.
Coffee Amendment Bill 2024.
Daniel Mugoya.
All right, now the controversial Coffee Amendment Bill 2024, and well, for me, I see this as the most chaotic, just like the way Daniel Mugoya had mentioned in the report, most chaotic bill in Parliament.
This year.
Yes, this year. Now, coffee being a very lucrative cash crop in Uganda, and I know this is where, this is your field. You are a senior business reporter. How important is coffee to us as Uganda? And what is the value of coffee? Just help me understand.
Okay. Well, coffee is a really, really lucrative cash crop, like you said, for Uganda, and we are among the lead African countries exporting coffee, I think next to Ethiopia. But just to take you back a little back, in the 1980s, cooperatives were in charge of maintaining their prices. They would kind of determine their prices, and the cooperative movement was big back in the 80s, you know, before President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni came on. So coffee has been a big thing, and that's why you're not seeing a development authority for maize or a development authority for, there's a coffee, there was a coffee development authority. That's how lucrative it is. So when it comes to this bill, I must say that we can only wait to see what rationalization can do, and perhaps then have a report to say what we could.
All right. Well, the learning never ends.
All right. So moving on, in May 2024, the National Environment Management Authority, NEMA, together with other lead agencies, embarked on an intensive exercise to restore degraded wetlands across the country. In a major operation carried out in Lubigi section of Kampala, under Lubigi Wetland Restoration Exercise, several illegal structures, including homesteads, churches, and makeshift structures, were demolished. Susan Nawanga brings us the highlights of these activities that transpired during 2024, the Wetland Restoration Exercise.
In May 2024, NEMA, together with other lead agencies, carried out several operations to restore degraded wetlands across the country. The phased restoration exercise was initiated after issuance of restoration orders to all illegal occupants of the gazetted wetlands, which required them to vacate voluntarily.
Deuna concern Jenina. Nema yagenda okujja oba okuleka abantu bazimbe wano banaye nga bali wakati tunuira omukyalo oli omukadde.
In Kampala metropolitan area, the exercise started in Lubigi section, focusing on highly degraded areas of Nansana, Naweru, Namungona, Chengera, Gandabira, Bulenga, Waise, Chinawataka, Nakawa, Chireka, Banda, and Kawempe.
These people have nowhere to go because they are Ugandans, but now they are looking as if they are refugees in their own country. What we are calling upon the government to help us and get somewhere to put these people.
Over 1,000 illegal occupants who claimed to have bona fide occupants were removed from the wetland. Illegal makeshift structures, houses, business structures and residential buildings were demolished during the exercise. Facilities such as Prime Paint, Sky Mattresses and others were not spared.
They allege that these people are living in wetlands, which of course we are not sure because these are gazetted LOCs. We believe as leaders that there should be right procedures of evicting these people.
They know that they are in the wetland, but they want to first be pushed. It's not a good idea. We would request kindly the people to remove their property peacefully, to relocate peacefully, so that by the time we reach there, we don't have confrontations.
As the exercise continued, residents of Nabweru 1 and 2 adhered to the process voluntarily to save their property from destruction.
I am a native of Uganda by origin, but I'm a refugee now in my own country. Look at our homes. Our parents have taken out loans.
NEMA's projection was to restore over 1,000 hectares of the degraded Lubigi wetland. However, structures like Starbex gas station and Lubigi police station were spared. According to NEMA, Starbex had obtained prior government approval in 2017 before suspension of issuance of certificates for development on wetlands in 2021.
Facilities that were approved by government or by NEMA for that matter in the past, those that have valid approvals cannot be affected because the policies cannot work retrospectively.
The exercise was followed by channel opening in the restored areas to enhance the original water flow and the natural regeneration. The process involved removal of maram, construction debris and other foreign materials.
The moment you allow it, you remove all these foreign materials, the water will regenerate.
Although some of the affected individuals demanded compensation, NEMA noted that this would contravene with the National Environment Act. Buganda Land Board had also requested NEMA to compensate those affected in Lubigi section.
They are being evicted. They built houses while NEMA was watching. So what we would say as Buganda is to tell NEMA to look into these people's wills, to go an extra mile and compensate these people.
NEMA reminded all those claiming bona fide occupants in the wetland that usage of the wetland remains subject to regulation in accordance with the law. Under Section 133 of the National Environment Act, anyone who degrades a wetland is liable for its restoration or must bear the cost of restoring the degraded wetland. NEMA had sought guidance from the Directorate of Public Prosecution on whether to place the costs on the degraders.
The wetland is protected wherever it is. It doesn't matter whether you own the title or not. How you use that part of your title, which is wet, is subject to the control by government.
However, the President pardoned all degraders and tasked them to leave gazetted wetlands voluntarily, retaliating that government would not compensate anyone for illegality of invading the wetlands.
Don't you have eyes to see a swamp? Who doesn't know what a swamp is? Wajotia Morotobazi, how did you come in the wetland? And yet you knew it was, because there are signs everywhere of what a wetland is.
Over 130 individuals affected by the restoration exercise in Lubigi, Kampala section petitioned NEMA for consideration.
So we've agreed that to ease the way of hearing, we schedule those with similar issues, they be heard together. And we can use geographical location or people with the same issues. So we shall work with the lawyers of the appellants to come up with a schedule.
This called for temporal halting of the exercise to allow review of the petitions. After the review of the petitions in September, no evidence informing reversal of the restoration exercise was established. The review committee only established a few cases of project-affected persons awaiting compensation from the World Bank under KCCA.
If their people are supposed to be compensated, they cannot be affected. You need to first deal with that issue. The other category are the people who entered the corridors of the wetland prior to the promulgation of the 1995 Constitution and also the enactment of the NEMA Act of the same year, 1995.
In parallel, illegal sand miners were arrested in Luera, Mayabu, Jasi and Luanjali wetland in Mukono for illegally dredging and backfilling of the wetland with Maram. The suspects were arraigned before court, where some were sentenced and others fined for their illegal actions. Despite these efforts, some of the victims returned and began setting up makeshift structures. NEMA conducted several operations that saw the arrest of 27 encroachers during the first operation, followed by 16 others. They were arraigned before the Environmental Court in Machindi, charged with disobeying the restoration and remanded to Luzira. In September, the second phase of the restoration exercise began uninterrupted in the areas of Kaludubi, Nambijirwa, Busabala, Bugu, Kibiri A and B, Kabuma, Gangu, Lufuka, and Indeje in Greater Kampala. The second phase involved engagements between NEMA and other line stakeholders to review the implementation of the first phase. It also included the demarcation of the wetland boundaries, sensitization campaigns, issuance of restoration orders, and evictions in the earlier contested areas.
Our operations are paused in terms of evicting people from their houses, but we do not allow any encroachment. We are not distracted by social media blackmail. We take that as a bluff and continue.
In the same vein of restoration, an illegal structure belonging to Patricia Ogule Nava and Roy Wakihura was demolished in Buwate 1, Chira Parish, Wakiso District. The demolition occurred after the duo violated Section 55 of the National Environment Act by backfilling the wetland. The restoration exercise across the country was guided by the National Environment Act, CAP 181. Susan Nawonga reporting for EBC TV.
Thank you, Susan Nawonga. Now, the year 2024 is one that did not end without affecting some families emotionally. Now, a number of people did not live to see the year 2025 after the angel of death reared its ugly head on them, rendering them lifeless. Now, today, we take a look at a compilation of some people that did not survive the wrath of death.
God be with you till we meet again. By his counsels guide uphold you. With his sheep securely fold you. God be with you till we meet again.
The media fraternity was among the first to suffer at the cruel hands of death. Alhaj Abdul Nsereko died on 10th January, news that did not sound good to many ears. Nsereko, who died of cardiac arrest, had served as a broadcaster on Radio Uganda, which later became Uganda Broadcasting Corporation. He was the father to Kampala Central Member of Parliament, Muhammad Nsereko. Another sad day was 18th January, when the death of Imat Cecilia Atim Barbara Ogwal took the country by shock. The mother of 7 was the woman member of parliament for Dokoro district in northern Uganda.
I put this thing in Pan-African Parliament where a fellow member of parliament from South Africa trying to justify why homosexuality is allowed by law in South Africa. And I ask her, supposing I divorce my husband and I would want you to marry me, what do you say?
Her commitment to service and ability to balance between work and family had inspired many.
When I won my elections, Cecilia called me and told me, right now you have 3 families. You have your family, you have FDC, and you have Parliament of Uganda, the people you are contesting for. She was really passionate about family, and she always emphasized to us, the young people, that once you reach the gate entering your home, Parliament stops there.
A few months later, precisely on April 14th, the environment sector also suffered a loss in the death of Dr. Tom Okurut. Okurut had served as Executive Director, National Environment Management Authority, NEMA, from 2011 to 2021.
Lord, be with you till we meet.
At the expiry of his 2 non-renewable terms of office, he handed over to Dr. Akankwasa Barirega on September 1st, 2021. His commitment to national service is remembered to date.
I know it's not an easy time, but we leave it all to God.
God be with you till we meet again.
About 3 months later, 23rd July 2024, became a dark day that befell the family of Simon Alepe. Alepe was the national vice chairperson for the ruling NRM party for Karamoja sub-region. He died in an accident on Tirinyi-Iganga Highway in eastern Uganda.
It was very early in the morning, about 3 a.m. in the morning. He was rushing to come and take a COVID test because it's a requirement in SEC that before you go for a SEC meeting, you have to do a COVID test.
Not so long, 13th August to be exact, renowned media personality, author and political analyst Tamale Mirundi also died. He was a former presidential press secretary and media advisor. Mirundi will always be remembered as a bold journalist whose critique of authority sparked conversation and controversy. Within the same month of August, the League of Fraternity did not survive the wrath of death. Former Attorney General Kidu Makuya died on 19th August 2024. Prior, he had served as Minister for General Duties in the office of the Prime Minister.
Put his arms unfailing round.
To the sports fraternity, it was a career cut short for Rebecca Cheptegei, a Ugandan cross-country, long-distance and marathon runner. Cheptegei represented Uganda at several World Cup championships since 2010, including World Mountain and Trail Running Championships and World Athletics Championships. She was killed on the 5th of September 2024 by her former partner, Dixon Ndiema Marangach, who soaked her with petrol and set her ablaze. The political fraternity would not be spared again in September 2024. The angel of death visited Parliament claiming the life of Sarah Mateke. Mateke, who was the Minister of State for Defense, died on a Saturday morning, throwing the country in a state of irreplaceable loss.
Thick skin. But for her, she was very, very, very calm.
And we want to thank you for always standing with us when we have these kind of difficult times.
Then came another somber Friday morning of 27th September 2024. The country was thrown into shock following the passing of former Member of Parliament, Onapito Ekomoloit. The former journalist who worked as a presidential press secretary is said to have succumbed to cancer of the colon. He was buried 2 months later at his home in Wera, Amuria district.
He was a pro-people and he looked up to development.
He was all round. He was a man of people.
Till we meet at Jesus' feet.
As the year nearly ended, came another shocker in the passing of renowned political encyclopedia.
Ekimu ku bintu ebyayambanga omusogo Oweyra n'agererera n'omwana we ne Busoga ne bako batingayiga byali Busoga Growers Cooperative Union. What went wrong?
At the age of 83, Dr. Frank Nawiso died on December 14th. The prominent historian, scholar and politician breathed his last at Mukono Church of Uganda Hospital after being bedridden for some time. He was widely respected for his intellect and dedication to public service. At the time of his death, Dr. Nawiso was a member of the FDC's Special Elders Council. All in all, 2024 did not spare quite many.
God be with you till we meet.
And such is life, just like someone somewhere once observed that where there is life, death is always on standby.
Keep love's banner floating o'er.
Henry Okrut, UBC.
Well, that was the year 2024 and the prominent lives that we lost.
Yeah, lost but not forgotten. And of course we do continue to pray for their souls, that may their souls rest in peace.
And their families, of course, to be strengthened, because these were fathers, mothers, grandparents, you know, community members. Yeah, but of course, for me, I would say that the death of Onapito really took me by surprise, because I had shared a panel with him on a national television way back in June, and we're talking about the national budget, and you could still see, you know,
you
a
could
strong
see that he
form,
still had a lot of life in him, yeah.
But anyways, that's life, as the story said. Let's take a short commercial break and be back with the 2024 year in review.
I don't make you happy. All that time you would be complaining. I'll call you every day. Yeah, yo, baby, don't know.
You can now get all the Chibuzi out with MTN voice bundles. Call all networks. Kubei Dondoro. Buy a 25-minute voice bundle for only 1,000. Or buy any daily voice bundle of your choice. Dial *100 *21# and select daily, or use the My MTN app. When we talk together, we are unstoppable.
Uganda, the festive season is here. It's time to dream big for those holiday vibes, play joyfully for perfect celebrations, and win moments that bring happiness into the new year.
I'm a my brother.
I'm a too. Whether you're dreaming with your family, playing under the Ugandan sun, or celebrating with loved ones, let joy, love, and laughter guide you this festive season.
I'm almost home, Chacha.
Every ticket is your chance to make this holiday even brighter.
Big gift, I promise you.
Stay safe, spread kindness, and let the spirit of play light up your holidays with magic and joy in 2025. Happy Holidays, Uganda, from Ituba, the proud operator of the Uganda National Lottery.
Step into a world of excellence. Come
Comfort and pride with Royal Form Furniture, crafted to perfection right here in Uganda. We bring you state-of-the-art living room furniture and bedding products at affordable prices. Our wide variety of mattresses include orthopedic, pillow top, spring mattresses suitable for institutions like hotels, and many others for home comfort. With every piece telling a story of royal excellence, our products are built with the highest quality materials made to last. Experience royalty with Royal Form Furniture, proudly made in Uganda, so buy Uganda and build Uganda. Visit our showrooms at Ginger Road, Chambogo Junction, Bukoto Chisasi Road, and on Victoria Mall, Entebbe, on the first floor.
Welcome back from that break, and we're glad that you're still with us here on 2024 Year in Review here in UBC Television. I'm Lorraine Masika Kazimoto.
And I'm Odulo Arnold Mark. Now we take you into matters of security. As the year draws closer to its end, Operation Shujaa and the UPDF Engineering Brigade prowess took center stage. Operation Shujaa, the joint military operation in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo, has achieved remarkable success in restoring stability in Eastern DRC. From the rehabilitation of strategic roads to the construction of critical health and education facilities, the UPDF Engineering Brigade's dedication and expertise have been on full display. Our senior reporter Haruna Mute Sasira reflects on the year's accomplishments on whether Operation Shujaa and the UPDF Engineering Brigade have been instrumental in shaping a brighter future for Uganda and the region.
As the year comes to a close, it's exciting to reflect on the significant achievements of Operation Shujaa in Eastern DRC. One major milestone was the change of command, with Major General Richard Otto taking over from Major General Diko Loom, alongside new brigade commanders in Sector 1, 2 and 4. Operation Shujaa was launched in November 2021. It's a joint military operation between Uganda and Democratic Republic of Congo aimed at combating the ADF insurgents in the region.
Sector 3, they were now free of the enemy because when they were defeated in the previous operations, they ran to Sector 2 and Sector 4. So my biggest task was now to ensure that they are defeated.
The operation began on the 30th of November 2021. We have made 3 years now, and we've got several achievements. Our intention, the intent of our superior commanders and the commander-in-chief in particular is being achieved, or has been largely achieved.
The operation has been successful in weakening the rebels' strongholds and reducing their activities. Under the new leadership of Major General Richard Otto, the joint forces have continued to make significant gains against the ADF rebels.
By August, we did not have any enemy presence in Sector 2. When I talk of Sector 2, what am I referring to? I'm referring to areas east of Beni City up to Bunia.
The operation has resulted in the killing of several high-ranking rebel commanders, including Ab Aden, Isa Yasin, who are Somali nationals, Seguja known as Moralo, Medi Nkalubu, and Mupenda, a Tanzanian, among others.
As I talk, we don't have any enemy groups in Sector 4. These are the western areas of Bene Bunia, and then Beni, Mombasa, which is like a triangle. Where did they go? They moved in two groups. One group crossed Mombasa, Ituri Road. They are now heading north, further north. And from further north, what will be the next destination, I don't know. Maybe they will go to Garamba, where we were in those days looking for the lost Eastern Army of Joseph Kony, which operated in northern Uganda for more than 2 decades. And then another group has moved down south, very far from our area of responsibility.
The success of Operation Suja can be attributed to the effective collaboration between UPDF and Fadaka Congolese forces. One of the most notable impacts of the Operation Suja is the increased traffic and business flow on the critical Beni, Bunia, Mombasa Road. This vital trade route, once plagued by the rebel activity, is now bustling with commercial and economic activity.
There is peace now in areas which have been liberated. Schools have resumed, markets are operating, people are moving freely, especially there is traffic, and there is peace. So the enemy has been defeated, and I want to make it very clear that we're in charge of the 4 sectors, and generally that's what I want to tell you about what we are doing in Eastern Congo.
We have highly achieved our primary mission of degrading ADF so that it's not able to cause war and atrocities against Ugandans. Even within Congo, they used to attack so many villages almost on a weekly basis, but now it's very difficult to find an area where we have the joint forces are operating, where they come and kill the Wananchi.
The improved security situation has enabled the resumption of schools in Dimo, Otomabe, Biakato, and Mbau. Children who had been forced to abandon their education due to the conflict are now back in classrooms.
There is peace now. People have gone back to their respective homes, especially the ones who were displaced, and schools have opened. I think that's good enough.
As we look to the new year, it's clear that Operation Suja will continue to play a critical role in stabilizing both Uganda and DRC in combating terrorism. The change of command and new brigade commanders have brought fresh perspectives and strategies to the success of Operation Suja.
The biggest achievement is that the enemy strongholds have been destroyed. They don't have a permanent home. The other time they could plan, they even were collecting taxes, they had even given land to some people. Now they're on the run. Most of the commanders have been killed, including the ones who are very influential in the command of the ADF. And we have captured quite a number of guns, and this has weakened their capacity to fight.
On the other hand, the UPDF Engineering Brigade has been making waves with its impressive portfolio of projects across Uganda. 2 notable feats include the renovation of the iconic Nambolo Stadium and the construction of the new arrival terminal at Entebbe Airport.
The objective of timely completion and quality works has been achieved. That's why we are getting more works, because when we started in 2022, we had 165 projects. Now, you can see after 2 years, the number has doubled, has increased by more than 100%. That implies the trust of the entities in giving us more work. Otherwise, if we were not completing, they wouldn't be getting more work.
We have renovated and constructed blocks, classrooms, dormitories in very many schools. Over 29 schools are complete. As the year is coming to an end, I'm completing more 12 schools in various places. And in selected areas, as we have told, there are many projects we are handling.
In line with the presidential directive, the brigade is prioritizing government projects, focusing on the Minister of Health, agencies, and Minister of Education and Sports.
And really, I thank His Excellency and Mama in particular for pushing for these projects to ensure that there are many learning areas for the students, and even is tackling the accommodation, tackling classrooms, tackling the sports sector. We have done a lot.
That the 353 projects that we have done within a short period
can really testify that we are capable, and therefore the directive of His Excellency the President, we are sure that it will not be undermined.
What is remarkable is the brigade's efficiency and cost effectiveness in completing the projects.
It has given experience to our personnel as individuals, and the UPDF Engineers Brigade has developed capacity in terms of experience to undertake the projects. Government itself can be able to undertake to offer services without going to forming parastatals or government entities, because this one is a government department under the Ministry of Defense, and it has been able to do works in a short time more than even all these contractors or even these other MDAs that people are singing about.
Haruna Mutesasira, UBC News.
Thank you so much, Haruna Mutesasira, for that. And we were just discussing about the benefits of actually being in the UPDF, and you talked about
the engineering brigade and
yes.
how they've been put to productive, labor. If you don't keep them busy, very likely they might, but I'm happy that they are into engineering today.
True that. And we're also talking about also the other sectors, not only the UPDF, but I was actually telling Mark about the prisoners, and how to many people, they have said that the prisoners' handiwork, like their furniture, is actually one of the most best in Kampala. If you can dispute, but I've so far, like from most of the people that I've talked to, they actually have appreciated their furniture made, and were like, can you believe that furniture is made by prisoners? And I was like, what? No, you're kidding me. So this is a good thing, despite being in prison, it's good to instill other skills in these people, so that when they come out, they can be productive in society. And just like the way you said in UPDF, we're not at war all the time, so why not instill a skill into our soldiers so that they can, do other things other than, being war fighters.
Yes, I think for me that's a plus to the government, and we of course encourage more people. Don't necessarily go to prison because you want to learn this skill.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, the ultimate is to not go to prison in the first place.
That is true. Now, with more in the year in review this year, 2024, the security situations have gradually improved in Karamoja sub-region, hence improved movements among different communities. The security report indicates that 171 guns and 2,215 ammunitions were recovered from January to December. Now, according to President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, Executive Order 3, which banned the Turkana from grazing their animals within the Ugandan territory, also contributed a lot to the stability of the region. And we have the details.
Early this year, 4 cattle traders were shot dead by suspected armed thugs along Lemusui Road within Amdat Sub-County, Amdat District. These were identified as Umaru Binyota, Umar Welime, Abasi, Mubaje, and a Ramadan boy, all from Mbale. This ignited the attention of security forces to restore total peace between Pokots and Sabines. This followed a number of atrocities being committed on the Sebei land by Pokots. This led to Pokots chasing all Sabines civil servants in Amdat district. It paralyzed service delivery and also affected peace between Sabines and Pokots.
They have turned to be devils to our own brothers. And until we go to that drawing table, and we'll see where the relationship went bitter, I don't think our brothers from Kwen or Buko can still accept their coexistence.
Once they pay this, can we now reconsider? Because this punishment, the punishments we are undertaking right now, is not only punishing the Pokot themselves, but it's also punishing the animals, which are very innocent. So in order for us to save the animals, and we punish the owners, by way of you must pay the following. because this is what Kwen lost, this is what Buko lost, to do the Pokot.
The cultural requirements that the Sabine of Kwen had demanded following the losses they had suffered, the lives they had lost, were also settled last week. 50 cows were paid by the Pokot of Amuda to the Sabine of Kwen, together with 9 goats, and 1 bull which was slaughtered. So, according to the Kalenjin culture, the hostility that existed between these two communities has now been amicably settled traditionally with the payment of those cows. And as we talk, I can report confidently that the cows of Amudat are grazing freely in Kwen. But
most staff left the district, and it affected our service delivery for about 1.5 weeks. But as we speak now, I am happy to inform you that all the staff who comes from Sebei sub-region who had taken refuge has come back and resumed their work. Work is going normally. Nobody is threatened and nobody is feeling scared.
In March, leaders from Uganda, West Pokot County, Kenya signed a joint communique on mediation and consultations between Pokots of Kenya and Piens of Uganda freely to coexist and focus on development. In April, Chepsukunya Livestock Verification Center.
Road robbery started when whenever the riders pass on the road, they could arrest them, they rob them, and they remove all things that they could be having, like food stuffs, monies, all those stuffs. So then, of course, later on, it went to the killing.
And the meeting is all about how we bring this. Therefore, Honorable Bukan, I want to appreciate you. I want to thank you, because without your engagement, probably we might not be here. The Buko and the Pain and Amdat and the hope that is going to work in the next 10 years. But it is not only one project. That means on the other side also of Kenya, something has to be developed so that we have a balanced kind of resources.
Was closed and all livestock were to be verified at Nadungate Verification Center. In June, insecurity increased in Katikekele, Rupa and Lotisan sub-county in Moroto district. Roads became impassable. The state of affairs led to more deployment of joint security forces of UPDF and police, which saw both motorized and foot patrols in combing areas that were perceived to be more insecure, hence restoring normalcy. As
and the learners is, the first shooting was a pupil of the school. Who was called who? Angela, the pupil of P3. That was Saturday. So now that incident has made the learners of Nagloro to be blocked from accessing school. They cannot come to school. And the other learners from the other side of the mountain also cannot come to school, which means the enrollment of the school has gone down. It's only the learners of Naro and those neighboring places are the ones that access the school. And the teachers also who are there are traumatized. They cannot carry out their duties due to the insecurity that is happening within the school and around the community. And some of the teachers were blocked in the town, and those ones can also not access the school.
Schools have been temporarily closed because there is a lot of ambushes on the road, and yet our teachers survive from the main center of Moroto for food and other necessities.
In June 2024, the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces appointed Brigadier General Wilberforce Serunkuma replaced Major General Felix Busizori, who was the Deputy Commander of the 3rd Division. In July, Assistant Commissioner of Police Francis Chamusito was appointed Commandant Anti-Stock Thefts.
Because of animals in rocket story, 1,691. And
given back to the owners. We have been able to impound animals at checkpoints, which has stolen.
With my team, that we are going to continue from where you have left and even have it more better with still your continuous guidance.
Relatedly, Ahmed Madiri was appointed as Mount Moroto Police Commander. Following the new deployments, notorious warriors were gunned down by the joint security forces of UPDF and police in North Karamoja. This helped in the maintenance of security in Kidepu National Park by averting poachers from Sudan and notorious warriors. In another security milestone, the joint security teams of UPDF and police pushed Turkana out of Uganda in August in areas of Magoso by maintaining and securing roads exiting and entering Karamoja using road patrols and checkpoints. This reduced on the commercialized rides. As a result, the joint security teams of UPDF and police have managed to pacify Karamoja sub-region and east neighboring regions since January to December 2024. The security teams managed to recover 171 guns and 2,215 rounds of ammunition. Operation Usalama Kwa Wote started in July 2021. Since then, 1,265 guns and 9,641 ammunition have been recovered. Overall, 29,300 warriors have been arrested and prosecuted in the military court-martial. In December, while meeting journalists in Karamoja sub-region, President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni asserted that the Executive Order No. 3 that stopped the Turukanas from operating on the Ugandan territory still remains until the two presidents of Uganda and Kenya will meet and Kenyans compensate for the Ugandan blood lost at the hands of Kenyan Turukanas.
We are supposed to come here with President Ruto and do Okarawa. Okarawa is building an economy who is putting in ties. In the past, we were bad people. They were warlike and vengeful. If you killed my brother, it was my duty to kill one of your clan. And it didn't matter who. So if your clan didn't want us to revenge on them, they will approach us and say, please, don't revenge on us, but father, don't revenge on us. Let us have a blood settlement. This is called Okarawa. So that's what I told the Kenyans, that they must come and the Okarawa here and bring back those. In the Okarawa, you must admit guilt. Then you pay a Okarawa. A Okarawa is a big compensation. Okarawa is only for blood, for death. Otherwise, if it is another way, I insulted you, I did that, it's another way. It's not Okarawa. So I am waiting for that process, otherwise the Turkana will not come here.
President Museveni's stay of action followed a meeting with the Karamajong elders at Naitakwe playground in Moroto district, who had requested him to pardon all Karamajong warriors who are currently held in prison on different charges. President Museveni promised to discuss the matter with the Army Council to screen the warriors and see whom to release.
From the region visited Kitalia prison recently, and we found 2,987 persons there, of which 987 were from Karamoja region. In our interaction with them, they asked us for amnesty from you. when we asked some of them whether they think that they are innocent, they said no, that they did some of the things they are accused of. Others say they were in prison because they were sharing one gun, others because of their friends had a gun, others because they didn't reveal the truth. They requested that, Your Excellency, if you can consider it for amnesty.
It was very bad. But let's go and discuss it. It's not such a simple one. It's not just a fight like in a bar or what. This was like in the ignorance. I don't think they intended to destroy the country, but they thought that they are solving their problem of wealth through stealing. But in the process, they were destroying themselves first of all, but also the country. So we need to discuss it to see how we give them a soft landing, but with the agreement of everybody who was involved in the effort of taming them.
Under the command of Major General Don Nabasa Williams, the 3rd Infantry Division has managed to stabilize Karamoja sub-region despite a few challenges still at play. Report compiled by Maureen Iga in Karamoja.
Karamoja is still that issue that Uganda has to deal with. Gradually we'll get there, but as we speak, there's still more to be done. Don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you.
All right, with 392 billion, which was allocated to the judiciary in the year 2024, the arm managed to facilitate and dispose of 239,431 cases from all counts across the country. However, the judiciary in the next financial year will apply alternative dispute resolution as a cost-effective mechanism to scale down case backlog and focus on increasing the number of judiciary officers at all court levels. Deborah Namamonde scans through the milestones in the judiciary that made headlines as the year 2024 comes to an end tonight.
In the financial year 2023-2024, out of 52.7 trillion shillings budget, the judiciary was allocated 392 billion shillings to deliver services to Ugandans and to run its administrative costs. As we complete the year 2024, our focus is on how the third arm of government has performed in terms of utilizing the allocated funds, its achievements in the year 2024, and the plans for the year 2025. Reference is made to the Judiciary Annual Performance Report of the year 2023-2024. The arm closed the year with the disposal of 200,000 cases. However, the Chief Justice Alphonse Chigamoyo Winyido says it was a tremendous performance that saw the case backlog decline.
Many things that have facilitated this: enhanced numbers of judicial officers, innovative approaches to justice delivery, technology, and so on and so forth. True, a couple of judicial officers may be found to be wanting in this regard. Those are exceptions to the general pattern where judicial officers really put their very best, their soul, their body, their spirit, to ensure that the little that we give is given to justice seekers in this country.
Among other achievements registered was the construction of Supreme Court and Court of Appeal, recruitment of over 400 judicial officers, including non-judicial staff.
Judges of the Supreme Court, we got 2, 3 justices of Court of Appeal, 11 judges of the High Court, 6 registrars, 6 deputy registrars, 5 assistant registrars. But as you see, even in this High Court, renovation has been taking place. You look at automation, we have bought these like video conferencing machines. I have now gone into almost 19 courts. Arua, Kabari, Mbarara, Mubende, Jinja, Guru.
With the renovations and construction of courts, beneficiaries included Budaka and Patong Magistrates Court, the construction of Rukunjiri High Court, that stands at 70% completion, Albatong Magistrates Court at 60%, Liantonde, Abim, Kalang and Tororo High Court, which stands at 35%.
Emphasis is going to be put on quickly dispose of commercial and land disputes because there is an economic implication. We are organizing more court sessions. Actually, we have also increased finances on locus.
Aiming at capacity building was the host of East African Chief Justices Conference, Judges, Registrars and Magistrates Conference, permanent secretaries to the judiciary from the East African countries, and the first ever judiciary prayer breakfast.
We thank God for who we are, and when He never tires of listening to us. So when we have an opportunity like this, we praise Him, we thank Him.
Holding alternative dispute resolution sessions where over 200 cases were completed, including special court sittings in Supreme Court and Court of Appeal, High Court in Kampala, Mbale, Kasese, among other achievements.
The Commercial Court concluded 31 case files. Mukono High Court concluded 10 case files, including land matters and other civil matters. Masaka High Court concluded 7 case files. Machinde Chief Magistrates Court concluded 66 case files.
And this has resolved many things. It has reduced, for example, the period where people have to remain on remand before the cases are heard.
The introduction of ECMIS, a person can file from wherever he or she is. We've also introduced and installed CCTV cameras around the court premises, especially the commercial court. Guru, Mbale, Mbarara, Fort Poto, Buganda Road, the Justice Anti-Corruption Court.
Although a lot was achieved, the judiciary registered some setbacks, which included limited budget, inadequate manpower in the judiciary and other stakeholders, which to a lesser extent hindered the dispensation of justice in the year 2024.
And you know, for a case to go through, you must have investigations which are professionally carried out. These investigations are handed over to the DPP for prosecution. But you find again the DPP also, in the criminal case, it doesn't have staff. Even the Attorney General understaffed. So what does that mean? It means that if there are cases in the court of criminal nature, they may not take off. Then we have got inadequate, worn-out court infrastructure.
Not eliminating the sad moments the arm had gone through in the year 2024. That saw the demise of Magistrate Maria Mangin. With the need to increase on the case disposal and to deliver justice unto Ugandans, the arm aims at embracing alternative dispute resolution than ever before and to increase the number of judicial officers.
The greatest innovation, the greatest intervention in the justice process in this country, the game changer in the justice delivery process in this country will be alternative dispute resolution.
When such conflicts arise, they usually carry emotional undertones, which if not well managed can lead to devastating effects to those involved directly or indirectly.
As we talk, the Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs is finalizing a policy on alternative dispute resolution mechanism. We have even gone ahead. The Chief Justice has appointed mediators, retired judges, those who have got the knowledge of mediation. There are those who have graduated from the University of Pepperdine.
Building more courts at different levels in different parts of the country, including hard-to-reach areas, addressing the challenge of case backlog that now stands at 26.32%, are also among the key issues the judiciary will address in the year 2025.
Do you simply come to court every day and hear whatever case the file the clerk has put before you, or you plan your cases? Do you age them? For example, do you come up every morning and say, this is my aging list. In 2015, I have 1 case. In 2016, I have 2 cases. In 2017, I have 3. That's what I mean by aging.
While addressing at the Magistrates and Registrars Conference, Principal Judge Dr. Flavian Zaija warned them against absenteeism at their workstation.
You can have a magistrate in every village, but people will still cry that they are not getting justice, they are not accessing justice. So literally, you need a situation where every judicial officer, including the Chief Justice, has somebody breathing on their neck.
And now we have populated this inspectorate. To make surprise this, we have bought vehicles for them. At least now we managed to get a vehicle for each region.
Although some efforts have been pressed on addressing corruption, there are still missing gaps, which the arm promised to tackle. The judiciary in the year 2025 aims at having 800 billion, which will enable them to implement the following.
To improve business processes in the administration of justice, increasing the coverage of automated services through the rolling out of electronic court case management information system. Institutional houses is something that will put on our agenda to address those areas which are very remote. We aim to empower the public, promote equal access to justice, and build trust and confidence in the judicial system. Land acquisition for construction of courts. So these are our future next year's targets.
Deborah Namamonde, Viola Nansubuga, UBC News.
All right, now it's been about 4 months since the beginning of the 2024 Mpox outbreak in Uganda, with a total of 649 confirmed cases and 6 deaths reported across 58 districts. Now, in our end-of-year review, UBC team engaged with the Director of Public Health at the Ministry of Health, that is Dr. Daniel Chabayinze, to discuss the ongoing management of the outbreak.
Mpox, previously called monkeypox, is a viral zoonotic disease transmitted from animals to humans, primarily in tropical forest areas of Central and West Africa.
We have registered 2 cases of monkeypox imported from the Democratic Republic of Congo. And this was confirmed after samples were taken from 2 individuals. These individuals are from Pondwe.
Midway through 2024, Uganda registered its first 2 imported Mpox cases from Congo, and over time, the number of cases increased from the initial 2 to 649 confirmed cases. The Director of Public Health, Dr. Daniel Chabayinze, noted that 58 districts have reported at least 1 case, males counting for 56% of the total case.
Whereas the first cases were clustered around the border crossing points, from as you cross to South Sudan, as you cross to DRC Congo, we've now reported cases in Kampala. We've reported cases in the greater Kampala area, and we also got a big cluster of cases which occurred around Nakasongola, especially in the fishing communities.
The Ministry of Health has implemented various interventions for surveillance and response. These include the establishment of an incident management team, pillar scientific meetings, and case investigations for all positive cases.
In terms of coordination, we have activated the districts to have the district task force prepare and respond to the first cases as they come. At a national level, we have an incident management team constituted, and they meet weekly to respond and collect information and then advise government and the Ministry of Health in how to handle the cases. We've had to move and set up isolation centers, majorly for the critically ill people. We've set up in Entebbe for the critically ill as the main isolation area.
Districts reporting new cases include Kampala with 10, Wakiso with 6, Hoima 3, and Chikube 1. Majority of the affected age groups is from 19 to 39 years old, accounting for 58% of the cases.
Over time, the numbers have been increasing from 3 to 2, and now we're beginning to see at least 2 cases per district per day, which is a high number. We have followed the trend of number of infections going up and now beginning to recede. For instance, our cases started rising mid-August to October, where we're having about 17 people, and then the number peaked up to almost 40 cases in mid-November in a week. We are now going back at the tail end of December, 55 days later, we're now going to back the numbers we had in early October, which means that our interventions are beginning to have their effect. But the unfortunate bit, we have just had a festive season. People have traveled all over the country. We are concerned and tracking and worried that people may have seeded this infection.
One of the hotspots in Kampala district is Kawempe and Machindi division, where commercial sex workers has been identified as the main transmission group.
And we are tracking to see that these cases where this kind of spread was driven by sexual commercial workers and their clients. We don't want to forget their clients, because if we look at sexual commercial sex workers, it's the clients now taking the disease beyond the community. One person can be responsible for spreading a chain of infections of up to 40 people, because one gets into their household, they're sharing accommodation, and then they seed to their fellow commercial sex workers in a social economical status which is very restricted, which we are able to understand and map. However, their clients come from all over the place. So we've seen that as one of the hotspots.
The Ministry of Health is urging the public to adhere to the standard operating procedures in place and report any suspected cases to ensure better management of the outbreak. Zahara Abigaba, UBC News.
Thank you very much, Zahara Abigaba, for that in-depth story. Now, our security crew has spent significant time in the ghetto, engaging with its residents and gaining a deeper understanding of their lives. Life in these communities may seem harsh, challenging, and filled with difficulties, yet year after year, many continue to call it home. In this inaugural edition of Inadi Ghetto, we explore the perspectives of ghetto youth on governance and development. These are the key issues raised by youth of the ghetto in 2024, as Ivan Kawa and Tony Kent Chaze report.
Chisenyi Zone in Kampala, the capital city of Uganda, harbors economically disadvantaged citizens who struggle to survive. The conditions here are challenging. Residents inhabit timber and iron sheet structures, paying a daily rent of 3,000 shillings.
Kati fe enkumi ebiri esatu fe buli omuze tumujjako buno obutanda bwaffe naye batuukiri ne batwogerera amafuukuule nga bwe tubeera n'ababbi fe tutubeera n'ababbi.
The people here seem accustomed and adapted to this lifestyle.
Leeri bayinza kunsalako kikiri komanda byonna byonna twabinywa byakoma abatabinywa tesimanyi oba byakoma. Twamalayo twabinywa byaggwayo baba binywa babijjawa nange simanyi.
Buli omu atiira ddala ekisenyo olw'embeera tubeera mu ntobazi, mu bizzi, mu bukyafu, olw'embeera ekitundu kyaffe tekinaba kutuuka ku nkulaakulana.
In Chisenyi, one encounters a mix of residents, street children, stateless persons and orphans, who call this place home due to its affordability.
Tuli mu kibuga makati kubanga ffe tukozesa transport genda mu kibuga otambula butambuzi wonna weeyagala okugenda. Era abantu baffe bano ffe tuli batunzi ba kawalagi ke tusinga okuwangaliramu, mulimu abakyala abeetunda n'abaana abeeyiiya.
We were led by the Defense Secretary to navigate through what locals allege is one of Kampala's most dangerous territories.
Nabo benyine kati ba defense abatambuza nabo bali baki bayonanyi b'amateeka kandi balokoka ati vola ne balonda ate kuki bakuume ekyalo ekyo tosobola kukuuma kyalo ekyo nga tobadde omumenyi w'amateeka.
The majority of the youth here engage in small-scale activities for survival, but feel frustrated by the Kampala Capital City Authority.
Twalinamu abaana abachapati, abawala abasiika chipusi, naye nga bakolera mu konteyina. Kane bafuna ssente ezo. Naye nga ssente bazifuna mu gwa 12 awo, kati juzi mwezi ogwokuna ate KCC nejja nekola ki netwala ku konteyina obwo.
Chisenyi area we have Owino Market or St. Mariko Dembe. It still has slots in there. We have the Usafi Market. it still has so many spaces in there. And those spaces are free. We have the Smart City Bazaar near Nachivubo Stadium. There are so many spaces in there. We have set up spaces along the bypass and the numerous markets that we have. Now, let's go into these spaces as youth who are in production. Then the demand from the public should be KCCA marketing.
Museveni era nkimugamba eno sente za sindika zikoma mu banene tezijja eno ena abaana tebalina mirimu sege abaana beeyiya kubeerawo sege kuyiya bulamu omwana akeera ku makya n'agenda n'atunda obutungulu n'abeezaawo obulamu embeera kweyiya kitegera lwalidde okimanyi nti wano mu ghetto omuntu alidde nnyo akoma ku 3,000 oba 4 ng'alidde nnyo
netulaba nti oba KCCA erinamu okutayagaliza gavumenti kuba kati abantu abo bafuna sente za gavumenti beekulaakulanye ate bukonteyina babugjewo kati gyemiranga gy'owulira okukaaba ne bagamba gavumenti ekoze eki teyambye nga ate KCCA nayo tugirabanga nabo bakozi ba gavumenti naye ate balinga abalina complicity ne gavumenti.
But this productivity must be in regulated places or in spaces that are meant for business.
These youth believe they have been sidelined from government programs aimed at improving their livelihoods.
Kadi ffe baagala tukole ki bwe batuuka mu bululu bwe batujjukira bwe batuuka nga tetulina mirimu kyakola tebajja emyala guugwo omwala gumala emyezi n'emyezi nga tebagulongooseza state council ffe abeekolamu omulimu ng'abanakyalo ne twelongooseza omwala.
Kampala Capital City Authority has implemented infrastructure projects including toilets, roads, sanitation and garbage management services, aiming to attract private sector investments to uplift the slums from their current state.
Structure shall come up in a place that has a good road, in a place that has a good drainage, and even now that they're not yet transformed into that, we have interventions in there. So there's government effort in these areas.
Despite these positive developments, Chisenyi remains a feared territory. But
shockingly, my observation is that locals in the area are more concerned about security operations that are indiscriminate. They allege that police officers work with some of those criminals.
But let me ask you, do those gang groups live in the police? Do they live in the barracks? Don't they live in the communities all out there?
Tony Kent Chaze, Ivan Kahwa, UBC News.
Wow, what an interesting combination of Ivan Kahwa and Tony Kent Chaze.
Yes,
those guys go to places where
no man would want
myself,
to go. Yeah.
Yes.
Life in the Ghetto was a very, very beautiful series put together by the two, Ivan Kahwa and Tony Kent Chaze.
Absolutely. Now, in more news this evening, the hilly terrain of Kasese district poses significant challenges for transporting produce with rocky paths, landslides and narrow passages, increasing business costs and limiting access to essential services like education and healthcare. Now, to address these issues, the government has invested 1 billion Uganda shillings in the renovation of the Mahango-Muhocha Road, which links 3 sub-counties. This project aims to reduce transportation costs, improve access to markets and enhance mobility for residents, marking a key government intervention to improve infrastructure in the region this year.
The government allocated 1 billion for the renovation of roads in Kasese district, including the 21.3-kilometer road barrier Mahango-Muhocha Road, connecting the sub-counties of Nyakabingo, Mahango and Muhocha. At least 434 million shillings was released under the Uganda Road Fund, which Kasese district local government has used to commence the works to clear and rehabilitate the road path.
Then the remaining amount has also been spent on other roads that have been worked on and others are yet to be completed.
While the road is still narrow, making it unsuitable for large vehicles. It remains passable, with border businesses being the most utilized means of transportation.
Expansion will come later, but let us first create a road which the population can use to access the mountains.
Despite its limitations, the business community is experiencing a sigh of relief as they can now transport their merchandise from the hilly territories to access markets more efficiently.
We need at least some extension of other good fund to have like a giant hauler machine in the upper zone to cater for the farmers to process their coffee while it is still up.
Now, this road is not only benefiting the business community in the area, but also essential to the school-going children in the area.
They travel with ease. There are some who come, whose parents have got borders, and at least they able to access school early enough because of the road.
I personally stay in the municipality, Kasese municipality, so I would take time to reach at school. The road was not easy. It had some deep holes. You could even move away from the motorcycle. You move your foot and you find the motorcycle in front. Reaching there, it was not easy. But at the moment, it is now an easy thing. We are now using like 40 minutes. But before we could use like 1 hour.
The hospitals en route, including Health Center 2s and 3s, are reportedly registering an increase in patients seeking health services in the hard-to-reach areas, following the commencement of the works with gravel layouts, leveling and widening.
The means of transport we have, which is a tricycle, it is a bit challenging that may not be able to maneuver in this road, especially in the rainy seasons. That one is, we are seeing it as a challenge in the future. But for now, in this dry season, we don't see any challenge.
Now, at various spots along this road, there are rocks that require drilling and blasting, a process that has proved to be more costly. The district local government is considering applying local methods to clear the rocks to enable the widening of the road and further ease the transport in the area.
We calculated the bill that would take the blastering using a machine. We're using a drills. It is really going to cost around 200 million. So we said, no, this one may not be viable, but we are going to use our local method of blastering, that is burning. We shall bring the tires and we put on these rocks. We use the local laborers to burn the stones, and then we can have the spot areas which we can really manage.
We are working on that by planning to ensure that the concept we have written, we hope it may get a funder, either Ministry of Works and Transport or any other well-wisher. Since we have got other development partners that have come on board in Kasese, if we convince them, we can do it. But for sure, as a district, we may not be able to raise funds locally.
Landslides have also proved to be a challenge to the ongoing works, calling for more resources to tame the situation.
That if we get more funds, we could have a line of gabions we constructed along this weak area, which is really having this landslide, so that it can act as a retaining wall.
Passing would actually be a problem. It was actually God's mercy for one to pass to reach where somewhere is moving. We are actually thankful to the government, the work it is actually doing to people of Mahango.
And realize that every district is given 1 billion. But also Kasese, with a very big network of roads, is also given the same amount of money, like in Toroko, which is about 10 sub-counties, like in Munyangavo, about 17 sub-counties. So we end up now competing for a little money that's given to us. And these are issues of policy, because a district must qualify for that. I think Kasese needs affirmative action, special consideration. 45 sub-counties with this terrain, you give them 1 billion, like other districts, small districts, which you know I'm not going to mention here, you can't do much. Kasese, Bundibujo, district in the Elgon area,
I understand Arua and Tororo, those are big districts which need to be given special consideration.
With only 2 months remaining for the construction project, designed to last 6 months, the works are currently at 70%, and once complete, the inconveniences shall be a thing of the past, with only maintenance needed to keep the road passable. Ivan Kahwa and Moses Mutabali, UBC News in Kasese District.
Well, we'll now take a short commercial break and be back with more 2024 in review stories.
Winner, it requires that you exceed all the limits of mankind and womankind. But when you play with MTN Momo, winning is easy. Simply get your phone and use the Momo app or dial *165*3#, enter merchant code, enter amount, enter your Momo PIN and pay. Congratulations, easy. Your stomach is full and now you stand a chance to win mobile money with MTN Momo.
Do you need data collection services, data analysis and reporting, monitoring and evaluation systems? Then contact Mold Technologies, a professional research firm that has provided many organizations with timely research solutions for over 15 years. For more information, visit www.mt.co.ug or call us on 0704 913 399 or 0782 602 963. Visit our office in Kampala at Sayuni Complex in Tinda. Mood Technologies, your professional research firm.
Step into a world of excellence, comfort and pride with Royal Foam Furniture, crafted to perfection right here in Uganda. We bring you state-of-the-art living room furniture and bedding products at affordable prices. Our wide variety of mattresses include orthopedic, pillow top, spring mattresses suitable for institutions like hotels, and many others for home comfort. With every piece telling a story of royal excellence, our products are built with the highest quality materials made to last. Experience royalty with Royal Foam Furniture, proudly made in Uganda, so buy Uganda and build Uganda. Visit our showrooms at Ginger Road, Chambogo Junction, Bukota Chisasi Road, and on Victoria Mall, Entebbe, on the first floor.
In a nation hungry for truth, a world where every story matters, there exists a beacon of trust and reliability. For decades, they've been our voice and our window to the world, holding the mirror of our history. With 4 TV stations and 11 radio channels spanning 27 languages, they stand as guardians of information, defenders of truth. With Maskari Heritage Advantage, they uphold every citizen's right to reliable and free information. Their archived stories shaped our past and illuminate our present. Yet now, as new challenges arise and the world evolves, their mission faces its greatest test yet. Be part of our journey and let's navigate the unknown uncover the untold and safeguard our future together. Tune into your public broadcaster, for it is the intersection of trust and truth. Because to UBC, your story, and every voice matters. UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Welcome back. You're still watching the 2024 Year in Review with me, Wadulo Arnold Mark.
And Laureen Masika Kazimoto.
And without further ado, let's get deeper into the stories. Now this year, after a decade-long wait, the Karuma Hydro Power Station was officially inaugurated on the 27th of September 2024. The 600 megawatts power plant, situated on the River Nile, is now Uganda's largest power generating installation. In another major infrastructural development, the construction of the 273 kilometers Malaba-Kampala section of the standard gauge railway was launched in November. The project, estimated to cost $2.3 billion US, is set to revolutionize transport and trade in the region. Denis Sigwa reports.
In the heart of nation's energy strategy, the commissioning of the 600 megawatts Karuma hydropower plant marked a pivotal milestone for Uganda and the region.
So we have moved now, but we are going to continue moving. We are not going to relax. Because this little electricity we have here now is going to support the factories. It will be very soon, because now the supply is like 500 megawatts. But very soon it will be overtaken.
This multi-billion-dollar modern infrastructure on River Nile will transform industries, create jobs and lead the charge for sustainable development.
That means we are going to add on to the power that we've been having. We will reach 2,000 megawatts. The journey has been long, but it's understandable. The underground dam is not that easy. The defect liability period has been extended and extended.
The economic impact of the power plant extends far beyond its walls. In regions that once struggled with persistent blackouts and unreliable electricity, the power plant is a beacon of hope and stability.
Let me also thank you people to give land. Because without land, this power would have not been here. So I beg the Minister of Energy to work at that. The remaining balance where people are complaining of, you should work on it when the President had been aware of that.
With ongoing investments in renewable energy integration, the plant also supports Uganda's transition to cleaner sources, such as solar and nuclear, to reduce reliance on any single energy source.
We see our clean energy electricity increasing to 93% of our energy mix. So that speaks again to greening. Greening, net zero commitment by the government of Uganda to ensure that we are achieving our nationally determined contributions as committed at COP28, but also under the UNFCCC protocols. So we are on track. What this also means is that we are now able to diversify our energy mix.
In another development, Uganda this November commenced the construction of the standard gauge railway. Speaking at the launch in Tororo district, President Yoweri Museveni announced that the standard gauge railway would be developed in phases, beginning with Malaba to Kampala.
As you have heard, we are going to start with Kampala, with the Malaba, Kampala, but we shall continue from Kampala to Mpondwe, and from somewhere on the western line to Kigali, if our brothers in Kigali work with us. And then from here to South Sudan, up to the border, and then we shall see how our brothers work with us from there.
The $2.3 billion 273-kilometer Malaba to Kampala standard gauge railway is part of the East African Railway Master Plan, whose goal is to enhance bulk cargo transport and reduce the wear and tear of roads.
Following the completion of all the necessary procedures and processes, our government, through my ministry, signed the EPC engineering. It's an EPC turnkey contract with Yapi Mackenzie. Yapi Mackenzie takes most of the risks in that kind of contract. When you sign an EPC, then the engineering and construction and everything, most of it is by the contractor, so he takes most of the risks.
My colleagues, the Turkish business people, tell me that a container from Turkey comes to Mombasa port for $1,900, and the same container comes to Kampala for $4,000. This is simply unbearable, and we need to drop these prices. As long as these prices are so high, Uganda will have difficulty to export and to develop its economy.
As leaders of Tororo, I appeal to the business community in Tororo, in Uganda, around the world, to know that Tororo is now the investment destination for Uganda and for East Africa. As we, the local people, we are making sure that the land is available, but we have appealed to our people to survey their land and lease the land to the investors. Number two, we are going to work with the Minister of Investment, Minister of Works, to prepare our people for the employment opportunity that is going to come. We are urging the Minister of Works to ensure that the component of local content of 30% workforce in the project is provided by the local people in terms of providing meals, providing local materials, training, offering all the service that is needed.
In 2014, the governments of Kenya, Uganda, Rwanda and the Democratic Republic of Congo signed an agreement for the construction of the standard gauge railway from Mombasa to Kigali and finally to eastern DRC.
When the roads are getting damaged quickly because of the too much traffic. So therefore, Yetulaga, where we are going, cargo will mainly be on the railway. Cargo, emigugu. Simigugu, ebintu, ebinene, big things, coffee, bichi. Cargo will be on the railway and on the water. The petroleum, we are going to make pipelines. We are going to make a pipeline from Kenya through Uganda to Congo, and also another pipeline to Tanzania. So amafuta, petroleum will have to go through the pipeline. We will not say motoka bya petrol kurugudo.
Story compiled by Dennis Sigowa for UBC.
I don't make you happy. All that time you would be complaining. I'll call you every day. Yeah, yo, Ray Dondolo.
UK
can now get all the Chibuzi out with MTN voice bundles. Call all networks Kubei Dondoro. Buy a 25-minute voice bundle for only 1,000 or buy any daily voice bundle of your choice. Dial *100 *21 hash and select daily or use the My MTN app. When we talk together, we are unstoppable.
Prestige Driving School, with over 20 years of driving training experiences and with more than 40 branches across Uganda. Licensed by the Ministry of Works and Transport and the only ISO certified driving school in the country. Offers fresh learner driving training, advanced driver training, defensive driving, and more. Enroll and become a professional driver. Prestige Driving School.
Affordable, professional, and safe.
Welcome to Good Morning Uganda, your go-to morning show to kickstart your day with all the latest updates.
Let's dive deep into issues that matter most to you.
In a world of stories waiting to be told, the headlines are your guide. Navigate the currents of news and knowledge with our daily updates of newspapers. Stay informed, stay empowered.
From the roar of the crowd to the thunder of victory, witness the drama unfold with our sports updates. Whether on the field or in the stands, join us as we celebrate the spirit of champions.
Rise with Good Morning Uganda, weekdays from 6:30 a.m.
Welcome back from that break, and now as we get into the final lap of the year in review here in UBC tonight. Well, in our sports news, the year 2024 will go down in history as one which Uganda registered success on and off the pitch. John Ban Sentamu closely followed these events and filed this report.
With 2024 an Olympic year, most of the nation's focus was squarely on Paris, France, that was to host the Games again 100 years on since they were last there. By the time the Games came around on 26 July 2024, with yours truly, John Ban Sentamu in Paris, Uganda had qualified 25 athletes, 13 of whom were women. The cast included rower Kathleen Noble, cyclist Charles Kajimu, and swimmers Gloria Muzito and Arnold Sengonzi.
I'm super excited. It's great so far, yeah.
Okay, and how has it really been like?
My training's been good. I feel really consistent, so I'm excited to see how fast I can go.
I'm so happy. I'm so excited. This has been a long dream of mine, and it's finally coming true.
It is true. I plan to retire after the Olympics. It's not a secret. I've been open about this the whole time, that this is going to be my last Olympics, and I'm excited to move on to a new stage of life.
Thank God that I arrived in Paris safely. I know
It has not been easy for me to qualify for Olympics, but it was just through God's grace that I made it to this Olympics.
We have arrived in Paris. The weather is good. Our journey was also okay. We had a safe flight. We also arrived here and the welcome was so good.
The rest, 21 to be precise, were runners led by the Mercurial Joshua Cheptegei, who on the second day of athletics ran to 10,000 meters gold in an Olympic record of 26 minutes, 43 seconds and 14 sub-seconds.
Cheptegei's opening up a gap here. We can't underestimate what this would mean in Uganda. Fisher, the world champion, the world record holder, pulling away. Fisher's driving for the line. The American tried to hold second place. Aragawi coming wide. But Cheptegei, with the performance of a lifetime, the world champion, the world record holder, becomes the Olympic champion. And once again, died. He'll never run the track again after this.
His achievement that completed an Olympics gold in the 5 and 10K was celebrated in style in the Ugandan camp in the Games Village and by millions of Ugandans back home.
I've been privileged that I covered the Olympic Games in 2012 in London, and I witnessed, of course, the marathon gold that we won. Also seeing Cheptegei here coming up with a medal that he cherished, or he loved so much. He dreamt about winning for his country, for himself. I think for me, other than Cranes qualifying for the AFCON, I think that Olympic gold for Cheptegei ranks way up there for me.
Few days later, Uganda was in the women's steeplechase final that ended with Peruth Chemtai falling short of her title defense after a solid run that fetched a silver medal and a new national record time of 8 minutes 53 seconds and 34 sub-seconds. In her post-race interview, Peruth Chemtai was inspirational especially to the girl child.
You need to work hard, then you go to school, after school, then you start training like me, yeah, because school is good.
On the overall, all the others at the Games played their part with decent performances. But a few weeks after the Olympics, tragedy befell one of the women marathoners, Rebecca Cheptegei, who lost her life in a spate of gender-based violence that shook the world. In football, there was a return to Mandela National Stadium, Nambole, which was refurbished by the Uganda People's Defence Forces Engineers Brigade in readiness for the upcoming Championship of African Nations and the 2027 AFCON. The fortunes of Nambole also bore fruit, with the Uganda Cranes sealing a return to the Africa Cup of Nations after missing the previous 2 editions, as the Cranes played qualifying home games in other nations.
Our return to Nambole Stadium is very much evident. You could see the players having that confidence, the support from the crowds, the levels of organization, less fatigue, players flying directly to Nambole, and that to Kampala, then to Nambole. So we believe that Nambole has been a huge factor, but all that thanks to the government of Uganda, who injected a lot of money, about 97 billion shillings, to make sure that the stadium is renovated. So the results actually being very evident on the pitch.
It's not debatable that netball is one of Uganda's most prominent sports, and for it to be in the doldrums for close to 2 years without a local activity was near disaster that ended after a decent work by the Normalization Committee, whose tour of duty climaxed with Netball Uganda under Jocelyn Uchanda, sworn in for a 4-year term that officially starts 1st January 2025. But amidst the lack of local activity, the netball national team, the She Cranes, shone brightly with exploits at the first 5 series in New Zealand, achieving 3rd place, while at the African Netball Cup in Namibia, the team finished 2nd. In local football, Sports Club Villa returned to the helm with the first National League title in 20 years, while upcountry club Chitara FC won the Stanbic Uganda Cup. Golf also provided enough thrills, notably Joseph Regan Akena's Amateur Open triumph in the Johnny Walker Uganda Open Golf Series that saw Tanzanian Idi Madina
2024 Year in Review Sports. A year full of sports success locally and globally, winning accolades, but what more would beat the accomplishment of Tiriet High Altitude Center in Kapchora, the hope of sports excellence. Amon has the details.
Medalist in the last 8 games.
The usual suspect in Joshua Cheptegei captured the sport's eye to win gold at the Olympic Games in Paris, leaving a mark as one of the greatest sports icons ever lived in Uganda. Cheptegei took the lead with a little more than a lap left in a masterpiece of a 10,000-meter race to win an Olympic record of 26 minutes and 43 seconds. The victory did not only put Uganda where it belongs, but rather at the table of men, keeping many gazing on the training facilities that the country has.
World champion, the world record holder, becomes the Olympic champion, and once again died. He'll never run the track again after this.
And tried to burn everybody up. The fastest 10,000 in the history.
Here is Tiriet High Altitude Center that was later commissioned and handed over by President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. The modern facility marks a major milestone in Uganda's sports development and highlights government's commitment to nurturing athletic and talent. Phase 1 of the sports project, now completed, includes several world-class features such as an athletic track, an artificial turf field, a jogging track, a hostel block, an external kitchen and a dining hall with the range of sports equipment. The facility not only accommodates sports disciplines like athletics, but rather rugby, with its team being exceptional in the year 2024. The Rugby Men's Sevens clinched a 4th Rugby Africa Men's title in Mauritius. The victory and subsequent progress to the Cup final meant that the Rugby Cranes Sevens accumulated enough points to maintain their #1 spot on top of the tournament overall standings. It's not only the Rugby Sevens that stood out. In 2024, Uganda cricket had a good year, but most of the wins came on the back of a very good 2023. Whereas personalities and teams were exceptional globally, locally on the Season 3 of the Uganda Boxing Champions League, they had a tremendous turn-up. This was a mark of a revival in boxing that had taken years crumbling. A successful year indeed. Looking forward to 20 that host the Chan tournament and Uganda featuring yet again at the Africa Cup of Nations.
National Council.
The president is offering to sport and to the Ugandan Olympic Committee, also committing to provide land for a new headquarters of EuroC, which then can be constructed and financed with the assistance of the IOC and of, in particular, the Association of the National Olympic Committees of Africa.
Uganda also took part in the 13th African Games in Ghana and returned one of its best haul of 20 medals, including 4 gold, 6 silver and 10 bronze, which ensured Uganda ranks 13th of 54 African countries.
Yeah, luckily we managed to conquer the challenge, just everything that came our way, and finally we managed to win. So we are really happy to be home, and yeah, we are really happy to be back home with gold this time.
And just like the year 2024 is coming to an end, the year in review tonight has also come to an end. We want to thank you so much for your company this evening, those who joined us from 5 o'clock until now. Please do stick to UBC Television, because we will be bringing to you the President's end-of-year message live from Rajpura on your television.
And also allow us to thank the team that has put this bulletin together, from the reporters to the production crew behind the scenes, Gloria, Yahaya, Nasa, Francis, Baguma, and then not forgetting the editorial team, Mutonyi Hilda, Timothy Sibasi, and none other than Innocent Musinguzi, our chief news editor. Thank you very much and have yourselves a lovely hour.